Hi, my name is Clara. In July 2022, the French foundation Zellidja granted me a scholarship to travel the world. I decided to spend a month by myself in Israel, a country internationally known for the wrong reasons.
I am looking forward to show you the Israel I see outside of the stereotypes. Also, I will only be using couchsurfing to be hosted for a few nights in a row in each city and make friends. Enjoy.
Integration is a very complex and broad question. Everyone has a story they can share about integration in Israel, either how they integrated Israel, how they perceive other people integration in Israel, and how Israel is in itself integrated in the Middle East.
Is it on?
Yes, it is.
Great.
So first question, how would you present yourself to a stranger?
Like the basic form, I think. Like, hello, my name is Vitali. I've been living in Israel for the past 30 years, I think. And I came with my parents. They came from Europe, from Russia, Ukraine, and immigrated to Israel according to the Jewish law.
My name is Eve, and I was born and raised in Finland, but I'm also half Russian from my mother's side. And I studied photography. Now I live in Israel, and I have a family of my husband Vitali and our dog Milos. So I never actually planned to move here. I was actually coming only for travels here, and that was also kind of spontaneous. I just chose from a map randomly a place and I just came here to visit, and I liked it a lot. I was supposed to be only 3 weeks here, skipped my flight back, and stayed for 2 months. Met with some people here and went to India for 1 month, and then I went to Finland, packed my stuff, and came back here for an internship. And then it's just another internship led to a second one, and then I started also studying here for the photography in Bourses Zellidja, and now it's already 12 years since that?
I born in Israel. I born like maybe 100 meters away from here, at the center. Well, my wife, she was a Russian. I mean, her parents were Russian, so I guess, but everybody in Israel, they're not local. I guess I am. I born in Israel. Most of them not. Especially the old generation. People coming after the war, Second War.
When the Soviet Union fell, so I think they tried to find another place to have a good life there. So one of my parents is a Jew, so they immigrated to Israel because it was it was considered back then country with a new opportunity for a new start. They had to choose, I think, between maybe Germany, US, or Israel. They could go to three countries, but eventually they choose to go to Israel after my aunt went here first. Then she's like, okay, yeah, it's a nice place. So the whole family immigrated, the whole Jewish family immigrated because the other part could not immigrate because of the Jewish country.
My parents were born in Ukraine. Specifically, they lived in a city called Nikopol.
So your parents also identify as Israelis?
Yes, they identify themselves as Israelis and Ukrainians too, because while they love this country a lot, they consider this their home, and they don't want to move. They still have great concerns about what currently happens between Ukraine and Russia.
I think now it's much more easier if you got if you don't have the language barrier. They also had the language barrier because in Soviet Union they didn't study any Hebrew, so it was pretty harsh for them to study everything from the start. Hebrew, so they knew a little bit of English, but most of the people in Israel then didn't spoke I think English. So it wasn't the same level it is now. I don't remember anyone speaks English. They all spoken or English or Arabic in the some kind of regions. Also, they had some friends who were Russian speakers, so it became more easier to them. And the government gave some how they call aliyah basket. It's they supported them if you're going to immigrate to Israel, you got some money support, some taxation support, and some the ulpan for the language studies support, and that's would be a really good deal for a fresh start in a new country.
Today, integrating into society is much simpler because back in the 90s, when my parents arrived, first of all, there was a huge embargo in Israel. There was literally nothing imported into Israel. Not literally, but there were a lot of sections. People just didn't want to sell Israel things back then. Today, Israel became much more global. It's if you come here as even a tourist, like you and me, look how easily we communicate. The new people who arrive from different countries, it will be easy for them to communicate because let's say they speak Ukrainian or Russian and not even English. There is a large population of Russian and Ukrainian speaking people in Israel. It's kind of like the US, but the Jewish version.
We always kept our home language. We spoke Russian at home, and in the kindergarten and every study facility, school, kindergarten, etc. They were used English.
Do your parents speak Hebrew a little?
Yes, of course. They're speaking Hebrew perfectly. They're fine. It's okay. Like for the kids, you got the school, and for the older people, you got the ulpan. So they teach like courses, language courses.
You're gonna bus, you hear like 5 languages. So that's what makes Israel a melting point. Every country you're trying to simulate, the language is the key. This is how you open door. Right? You communicate with people. You can't go mime.
Given the fact that the main language of Israel is, after all, Hebrew, you have to teach those who don't know how to speak Hebrew the Hebrew language, because it is the main communication language of Israel.
You've learned the language like from the street, not from the ulpan. She went to ulpan like for 3 months, I think. But eventually she caught up the language from people from speaking and from jobs.
Ulpanim are institutes that teach Hebrew intensively to immigrants so that they can understand it, speak it, read, and write it. They can also teach history and geography as well as Israel's culture. The goal is for new citizens to be quickly integrated.
I use daily English and Russian. I do speak Hebrew, but I like day activities I can do in Hebrew, and I do it. I try to do it. But for example, if it's my free time, we go to out, and I know already everybody is, for example, either speaking English or speaking Russian. So it's I tend to just stick then in those languages. I believe, of course, language is very big part of integration for sure. And I just need to be more strict with myself and start, using it more.
Yeah, but for the sake of the interview, my English came from my huge love for movies and video games. It's impossible, especially at a young age, not to learn English through just looking at movies and seeing the subtitles and doing 1 + 1.
It's important to mention that here programs on TV are usually American programs with Hebrew subtitles.
Yeah. Well, unless it's a cartoon or a children's program, chance of it being dubbed is 0.
Let's move on to an interesting chapter. Food. I believe that we all know falafels, even though their creation is disputed amongst many countries. But can food be a factor of integration? What's it really hiding?
But they say falafel, it's Israeli food, which is not. It's Arab. It's Egyptian, I guess. There are a lot of hummus. Did you ever try that?
Yeah.
Hummus and falafel.
Yeah. People told me to try sabich.
Yes. It's simple food, but I guess made a long time ago for the people who work hard, and they were not rich enough, so they eat whatever just to fill up their stomach for the rest of the day. Instead of going to brasserie or one of those Michelin and pay 1,000 and have 2 pieces of sushis. Yeah. It doesn't work. Each country brings their own food. Like the Moroccan, which have great food, Persian, which is my descent, my parents. And it's all mixed up to, one big celebration of food everywhere, If you go to Jewish people, it's always food. They always make food, more food than less. They always said, better have more, that some people left with half portion. So it's a lot of food, and not only that, when you leave, they will give you a bag of food to take with, which is great. Well, I did it with my kids. When my parents was alive, my mom cooked the kitchen, which is a lot of chicken.
I've never had Persian food. Do you have any recommendation?
Yeah, there's something called gondi.
Gondi?
Which is, it's like falafel for Israelis, or any other kind of food like fish and chips for the British, whatever. So gondi, it's Persian. It's very famous.
Oh, so you love to cook. Where do you say you get more inspiration from? Is it your Russian roots, your Finnish roots, cuisine from the Middle East?
So I tend to cook a lot of not Israeli, but like mixed cuisine food. I love Asian food. I love trying new things. And for me, it's also important, to do sometimes like this things which I miss from Finland, which you can't buy here. Different kind of like pastries. Russian is also because I just love Russian food. And it's my mom's cuisine, it raises like, memories also. And it's even funny, I don't know, like I'm not a spiritual person, but it's sometimes funny, like I can say like, okay, today I did, for example, borscht. And suddenly my mom like, I did borscht today. I'm like, oh. And like we do like similar dishes at the same time, I don't know, somehow. Israel, like cuisine which you have in Israel, you have a lot of cultures mixed. It's like just a big melting pot. And I think things are also so tasty here. And you want to just, continue doing those stuff. And also the ingredients are like available easily. So I think, when I'm, for example, in Finland, I don't cook the things I do here because of Finland has everything in the stores for sure, but not in the same way. Like we ate with you malawa, in the evening, and you won't find malawa. You will find something similar, but you won't buy it because still not the same. So yeah, I guess I'm doing everything in my cuisine, but roots do affect.
Sure.
Did you know that Ethiopian Jews represented about 2% of the total Israeli population? That's more than 160,000 people, the largest Beta Israel community. Their history, culture, and traditions are explained here in Beta, a cultural center in Tel Aviv.
The fact that I am white is probably gonna ease up my integration among Jews coming from Russia, Poland, and this eastern region of the world, but probably gonna make it harder to get to talk to people from, for example, Ethiopia. Because as I said, there is a lot of Ethiopian Jews here. For lunch, I went to an Ethiopian restaurant. It was really hard to communicate because the woman didn't speak English, nor French, nor Spanish. And it's the only languages that I can speak. And so I tried to do Google Translate, but she couldn't read Hebrew. She could completely speak Hebrew. And Amharic, it's the Ethiopian language. And it was really hard to communicate. I think I stayed in her restaurant for maybe 20 minutes to get to talk to her. I was writing in English, she read it in Amharic, and then we exchanged, and it took hours, it took ages. It was very funny. And she couldn't understand why I really wanted to talk to her and get to know her and her culture. The language barrier was really present. But then I went to a kiosk of South American food, like from Chile, from Argentina, and it was way easier to get to talk to the guy in charge of the restaurant because we both can speak Spanish.
People can talk about it how many times they want, but fact is, discrimination is not something common in Israel. Like, people talk. People can dislike someone, but if you know where not to stick your nose in, you'll never witness any discrimination at all. Like, yeah, sure, if you go with a gay flag around your neck to an ultra-Orthodox settlement, things won't end nice. But otherwise, in almost any other city, no one will give a crap. People just don't care. You're Israeli, that's it.
Et nous sommes là, entre l'imagination et la réalité. Regarde-moi dans les yeux.
עכשיו הכל נראה אחרת, תלבשי ארוך אם את הולכת, בחוץ האנשים סגורים בעצמם, הפכו קרים אני לא יודע למה בדיוק, קנאתי את הרכב, שחרתי את דוושת הדלק ממהר, תראי הזמן פה מטפטף מהחלון, הכל חולף בסוף, רק השמיים נשארים, אנחנו כאן, ואם עוד רגע זה עובר, אם העולם קצת ישתגע, מתנדנד על הקצה, אם אנחנו כאן, בין דמיון לאמיתי, תסתכלי לי בעיניים, שדע שאת איתי.
Obviously, when we picture Israel, we think about religion. There's a great Christian identity in cities such as Nazareth, Haifa, Jerusalem, but also Bethlehem.
אני אחד שחי מגעגוע, כבר לא זוכר למה אולי לי בני אדם בלי מסכות, אל תתחפשי הכי יפה לך ככה בדיוק, הזמרים שלך ברדיו מריצים מילים.
You can find the Church of Annunciation, of the Holy Sepulchre, Mary's Well, the Sea of Galilee, the tomb of King David, and many, many more. In Haifa and Acre mostly, you can encounter the Baha'is faith, founded in Iran.
If Haifa is an important place of pilgrimage for Baha'is, it is because the Bab's tomb is located there. The Baha'is faith believed in the unity of all people, rejecting racism, sexism, and nationalism.
Jerusalem is thrice holy, since it also plays a huge part in the Muslim religion. To be fair, for many reasons, this place is the only one in Israel where I didn't really feel welcome. I was even kicked out of the mosque by security. Otherwise, in any other city, I had great exchanges with the local Arab populations. Finally, let's move on to the main religion of the world's unique Jewish state.
The Sephardic, they're different from Ashkenaz Jews. It's two like different streams, and like, wow, it's it's not like Catholic and Protestants and stuff like that, but there are differences in how do I say that? Иве, обычаи, как будет? Да. You see, that's nice. I asked her a word in Russian, and she said, "Okay, I don't know this word." Now we stuck. Контекст евреи, которые это сфаради евреи, ашкенази евреи, у них обычаи другие. It's not habits. It's like habits, but it's like traditional values, traditional ways. Yes. So it's more like traditional approach. Okay. Okay, then we found it eventually.
Would you say like there are prejudices in between Jews, like
Of course, yeah,
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 for like both ways?
both ways, yeah.
I had the most special Shabbat experience, hosted by a rabbi in front of the Western Wall in Jerusalem.
של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב.
If you're a Jewish immigrant, you come to this country and you're like, oh, okay, here's like the basket, like the, how do they say that? No, like small benefits that the government gives you, again, to feel like better, that they give you like the discounts on stuff. They give you like sum of money to that you will handle with that like for 3 months or for 4 months, I think. But if you're like a non-Jewish immigrant, it's harder because you cannot come to Israel and say, "Oh, okay, I want to live here." They will say you, "Okay," I'll tell you why, and like you're not Jewish. You can immigrate to Israel if you get married, like if you find someone that and you will live together, or like for work, you can stay here like over like 3 months, more than 3 months. Except that, nobody will like, you cannot immigrate to Israel like if you're not Jewish.
I'm not Jewish and Vitaly is Jewish, so it was harder. I'm not allowed to get married here. So we had to go abroad to actually get officially married. I'm not considering like making conversion to Judaism. I'm atheist, like it's just, I'm not gonna do it. I think it's also wrong towards the religion itself, like, and the people who are actually practicing it, that some people would just, like make it in order to gain something for them. And now we have to like officialize it here. We have to do like some bureaucracy steps in Israel, and also I need to do in Finland. From Finland part, it's very easy. I'm gonna go to my embassy here in Tel Aviv, and I'm just gonna send papers, and then I'm gonna send them back, and all is gonna be fine. It's not hard at all. But Israel, like, you always have to be prepared that something might go wrong. There's always surprises. Well, okay. His mother is Jewish, his dad is not. So that makes him automatically Jewish. I guess his mom would be pleased if I would suddenly, decide to become Jewish, but she never actually pushed me. Never, which was really good. Before I was in a relationship, with another Israeli guy for 3 years, and they all the time they wanted me to become Jewish, to make the conversion. They were pushing it. It became very, very hard. It affected even the relationship itself. Normal basic things should be like, accessible. Like now, for example, what I said is just having a civil marriage here. That'll be just, wonderful. Even for, like, I know for Israelis themselves, like, who were born and raised here, who are Jewish. We have friends who didn't want to get married here because they don't want to support the Rabbanut. So they also go abroad and marry, or just like change the status in like in Hebrew it's Yoduim Betzibur, which means like publicly known couple.
The Chief Rabbinate of Israel, or Rabbanut, is the supreme Jewish religious governing body in the state of Israel.
If we're going to be outside of Israel, even like a year or two, we'll come back here and we'll have to start everything, all the process again, which takes many, many years. And then like, what if, what will happen like with our kids and so on. And like, I mean, surely I will be like, also kind of like proud, to have the Israeli citizenship. And so, of course, you can love the country, you can love the people, you can love, many things, and still face a lot of difficulties every day. And like, sometimes like saying like, why am I here? And not just me, it's like even the Israelis themselves, they're like, why I'm like doing all this. They feel like the government is not for the people, it's opposite. People are for the government. This is like something which you can hear a lot of people say here.
I think that my personal integration is going to depend a lot on what I tell people about my origins, my background, and my religious beliefs. Because I was talking to this Ethiopian Jew, and we talked for like hours, and he was very reluctant towards European people, but French especially. Until later that night, I told him that my great-grandparents were Jews. And in Israel, there is this saying that even if your mother was not a Jew, it's counted on 3 generations. If someone in your family in the 3 previous generations was Jewish, then you are Jewish. By Israeli laws, I am a Jew. At the exact moment that I said my great-grandparents were Jews, he made me feel like I could be really easily integrated if I said that to people. And he told me, well, if you have the Jewish blood, then you'll succeed, which is very funny. He was like, you will make money, you will succeed, you're Jewish. He told me this sentence that will stay in my mind. He told me, then you are a part of us.
ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור
During my stay, I got the unforgettable opportunity to meet Amnon Weinstein, the Israeli violin maker that initiated Violins of Hope, a project to restore the instruments found and brought back from the camps. Meeting him was really moving.
Israeli music is very specific, has a very specific sound. And I'm not sure if the language has anything to do with it. It's Middle Eastern pop, what's called in common Hebrew language, Mizrachit. Israeli rock, though, I do like some music, and a lot of it is in Hebrew and has a very specific sound I don't know how to describe. You have to listen to it to understand. It sounds a bit different to Western pop.
To me, music is one of the easiest ways to get integrated somewhere. I got to go to many impromptu concerts and play myself with new friends or alone in incredible settings.
מפתח הלב, זה בראש שחושב, וזה באסה, כואב, ואין לי מילים, לא קל לפתור, כשרק רוצה להטביע, כל מה שעולה ומטרה מהלב, ובכל מתנצל, עמוק עמוק בלב.
Standing in the light of your halo, I got my angel now.
The next chapter will tackle the matters of army and nationalism. According to the law, Israeli citizens, men and women alike, whether they're Jewish, Druze, or Circassian, have to go through mandatory service. It is not compulsory for Arabs, though.
And then it changed the color, and like it affected everyone. Look at them, look at them.
At 18, after high school and before university, everyone, with exceptions, has to enlist into the Israeli Defense Forces. 2 years and 8 months for men and 2 years for women. Many Israelis take a sabbatical to recover from service and travel the world.
Because I was born in Russia, I considered myself like a Russian Israeli. Not like, but eventually if I stayed here for like already 30 years here, so yeah, I did the army here, so I consider myself like more Israeli than a Russian, of course, like. But it's like, it's a mix. You cannot like change the place that you were born in. It's like, also, I was born in now the country that doesn't exist. I was born in the USSR. There is no such a country right now, so it's funny.
And I kind of thought I will never be with a Russian man. But the thing is that Vitaly is not just Russian. He's Israeli Russian. I think, you know, like he's actually more, he's more Israeli. And the thing is that we speak common language. It was just a huge bonus. It's you share mentality, you share like experiences. You can say things. You can communicate with both of the families easily, which is great. For me. We are both like, you know, very family centered. So, you know, it's very important that the partner is, you know, interacting with the family. And when Vitaly came, so it was like, oh, that's just great, you know. He can interact with my mom. With my dad less, but they do find their common language, you know, somehow. I'm not Jewish and I'm not a citizen, but I am here already 12 years. I do consider it my home. I guess I feel in a sort integrated, but of course it's also like the people who know me, they do accept me as just like part of, you know, just an Israeli kind of. But maybe some would see me still as a tourist. Or like maybe not a tourist, but like not, I don't know, one of us, I guess. Because there is a separation still, you know, like people who go to army, who like have roots here, and maybe, of course, they don't consider me as one of us, but like in our friends group, yeah, I'm like totally one of everyone.
Mandatory service does not a patriot make, but I did learn valuable things from service.
I gave Israel 3 years of my life for serving military service. So it does connect people. It does make you see some other person's perspective. It does teach you a lot about stuff, different stuff. Eventually you got stuck with a lot of people in the same like casserole, I think, and that's it. And it's a big experience. You're getting like older really fast in your like approaches. Also, I know some people who you like when they are serving the country, they're making also the giyur, the conversion process, because if they're born not from a Jewish mom, they're considered as like or Christian or without any religion. But choose also in the military if they want to make the conversion.
Because of the global conflict going on between Russia and Ukraine, so there are like new waves of immigration from both Ukraine and Russia. How would you say those waves are like different from the ones in the past?
I don't feel them.
You don't feel them?
I don't feel them. We met some people who like were refugee from Ukraine, and also a guy who's like ran away from Russia. But you know, I don't know. It's like it's a weird phase for those two countries. It's a really bad thing that's going on. It's a really bad war.
Would you say maybe some refugees don't try as much to integrate as when you came, for example, because they are thinking of going back?
Of course, yeah. I think yes, because it's like like a passing stage for them, and they also know that they cannot stay. Like they can move with their families, okay? If they got an aunt or grandma or grandfather who lives in Israel or like other connection, they can like come to Israel and not visit like for the not being a refugee for the length of the war.
I don't know if I really want to like return to Finland. Like now when I'm going to travel there, like visiting my parents and friends, I kind of feel a tourist there. In my mind now, my home is like in Israel. And the thing is also like people are always like, okay, so you're also like Russian citizens. Like how Russian are you, you know? The thing is like, I feel like it's part of my identity. I'm not like, you know, I never really lived there, but since my mom is Russian and like it's, I don't know, it kind of also makes it home in a sense. Here in Israel, it was really easy for me. It came somehow like so naturally. People were really, you know, accepting and kind. And in Finland, like I was studying in University of Applied Sciences, and like I don't know, like everything was supposed to be like fine and you know, well, and like that's it, I'm settled, you know, and I just felt like something was missing, you know. Maybe I felt like a bit often like I didn't belong in a sense, you know, like especially like, you know, coming from two cultures, like identity and the family, I kind of, you know, was craving for something deeper in a sense. And when I came here, it was totally opposite. It was just so, I don't know, things like clicked. Climate was, at first it was fun, because when I came here it was winter. Then the hot seasons, they're hard. They're still, after 12 years, they're hard. But the sun, it keeps me, you know, alive, like happy.
I consider myself as like a person of the world. I don't know. It's like the concept of like being in one place all the time. It's like formal era concept. Like now it's like more globalized. You can work from every place. You can travel. But it's only defined by like borders. So I don't know.
I can't imagine myself staying rest of my life anywhere. You know, I don't make plans like that. You know, this is like, that's it for life. Also, Israel is sometimes depressing me and him, that things are so expensive here. Sometimes the security, it's just, wars, attacks. It's depressing. It's awful, and I wouldn't want, like, we can deal with it, but I don't know if I want that my kids will have to learn this trauma and live with it and So I would say that in Bezalel specifically, I was strong with my own expression, and people would lecturers also, teachers, professors, they would say it's very European what you do.
From your experience, your roots maybe show through your photography?
Yeah, I think, it's actually, they're melancholic in a certain way. The color scheme are more calm, the compositions are more calm. They tend to have more a cold colors, even though they were shot in Israel. Okay, so there are communities, there are political groupings in a sense, Arab students do more the political groupings. People do a lot of they process stuff through the art. It's the way to express themselves. It might be healing, it might be going through pain points. They might not have any other way to express that except art, yes. It's opening up people's mind. If, like you said, if it's separating the point of views, yes, it might. It can be like a bridge also between the cultures and yeah.
There is mixing, but not eventually mixing, like Arab not usually married Jewish and Jewish doesn't marry Arabs. It's like two communities that live together. So it's less mixing in that sort of thing. It's complicated. There's a lot of nuances about that. I think what is mixing is the food and the location people are living. That is the major mix, and the languages. When you live with other culture and other people. Hello, Mani. You're trying to learn their language. They're already here, so they're learning Hebrew, or they're not learning Hebrew and you're not learning Arabic, so it's
like coexistence.
It's coexistence, but it's complicated. You have to see in Israel. I think that there was also always a mixed culture, like Asian Palestine. It's too complicated to answer that. I know that the country was covered pretty well on swamps, desert, and the culture mostly were Arab, I think. And I don't know if they. I don't think Israeli preserve stuff. You don't. If you immigrated from Morocco or Tunis or Yemen, so you carry the stuff you pick up the belongings or the stuff that was used at your family, and now they're iconic stuff for your family or symbolize something. But eventually, I think Israeli all the time trying to refresh and throw old stuff. That's why we got also Pesach for it. It's the Pascha. You clean all the house and you throw all the stuff, so the house always refreshes, renews. It's different from I think countries who got thousands of years of tradition and they got their own culture.
My name is Suad Nasser Mahoul. I am a city and regional planner and also an artist. And a year and a half ago, I decided to open this gallery. This is the first Arab gallery in Haifa since 1948. Haifa is a mixed culture city. We live here, Arab and Jewish. Arab are about 11% from the population here in Haifa. But in 1948, 6% of the Arab Palestinian people who were lived here in Haifa were evacuated and were become refugee in Lebanon and Syria and other states. Most of the Arab historical neighborhood were demolished. Wadi Salib, which was a Muslim neighborhood in Haifa, became a Jewish neighborhood, and other Arab neighborhood also they lost their identity. Here now we are in Wadi Nisnas. This is the only Arab neighborhood that still have its Arab Palestinian identity. I prefer to have my gallery in an Arab neighborhood because I want that the gallery be popular for all the people. And here the area is also a tourism area. But many tourists here enter, and Jewish and Arab. But most of the groups that come here to the Wadi Nisnas, they don't enter here to see our culture. Some of them don't like us to say that we are Palestinian. They want us to say Arab Israeli, but we are Israeli, but our culture is Palestinian. Since I was a child, I draw women and refugee, and all my paintings, if you see here, are about women. My mother, I was inspired by my paintings are universal, can speak to everyone in the world, and even especially for the women. Some people are afraid from the word Palestinian, and I try to show the Palestinian culture as it is very beautiful culture, and the UNESCO recognizes Palestinian culture. It is better to the Israeli also to know us more. I intend also to bring here Palestinian artists from the West Bank, from Ramallah, from the Palestinian Authority. Once it was easier, now it is more difficult. Now it is more difficult, and because of the conflict, Palestinian people want their states, and they can't stay under occupation. I don't want the Palestinian from the Palestinian Authority to come integrate a state that this is occupation. We can't say that. The occupation is all over the West Bank, not in a small place. And the settlement, they built a settlement in all over the West Bank. To speak about two states, it has become more difficult than once.
And would you say that you personally feel well integrated here now, today?
Not exactly. Here we're living here in Israel and in Haifa, and the Arab and the Jewish are in good relationship, but there is a big discrimination. We as Arab here, we speak Hebrew also, and we study Hebrew, and in the university we study, all the studying is in Hebrew. But Jewish don't, some schools, they teach Arabic also, but most of the Jewish here don't know the Arabic language. So they can't know also the literature of our, yeah. They don't see us as part of the state. This is the main problem, I think. They know that we are here. We born here for generations. The history of Haifa didn't begin in 1948. It's began hundreds of years before. And before 1948, there are Jewish here also in Haifa. I know many people from Ain Hod, from Abu al-Hijra family. They are living now outside their village, on the border of their historical village. How can you imagine this? Now the artist sit there, and I think I can't understand artists that he knows that the house that he is living in, it is his owner is outside the village, and he is still in Israel. We are living here. We are still living here. Yes, there is a peace between people. But at the policy of the state,
I couldn't imagine spending a month in Israel without visiting its famous neighbor, Palestine. I only spent a day in Bethlehem, which isn't necessarily representative of the entire country. I went to the Waldorf Hotel, a masterpiece probably created by Banksy. There's an actual hotel where you can find a well-made museum in which I wasn't allowed to film, as well as an art gallery. Bethlehem is also thrice holy, being known as the birthplace of King David, but also of Jesus Christ. Among other places, I visited the Church of Nativity, Milk Grotto Church, and the Palestinian Heritage Center. If you are looking for answers on the matter of the Israelo-Arab conflicts, I am sorry to announce that you won't find any here. If you come to Israel and Palestine, you'll notice that it is much more complicated than just a polarized debate. I'm also doing this documentary because I'm sick of those countries being only shown through this angle. They are so much richer than that. I was really thrilled to organize a meeting during a car ride in between a Jewish Israeli and a Palestinian. I enjoyed every bit of the conversation. My conclusion is the following. Locals are not responsible for any part of a conflict directed by the government and fueled by extremism on both sides. My first documentary took quite an unexpected turn. At first, I had planned to come here for 2 months to experiment the Kibboutz life. Kibbutzim are communitarian, socialist, or Zionist villages created by immigrants in the early 20th century. Then, everything was shared, from meals in the cafeteria to clothes and even money, which isn't really materialized in Kibbutzim. Volunteers would come from all over the world to experience this almost utopian way of living, helping all day long by working in the agricultural sector mainly, meaning in the fields, picking up fruit, or with the animals. But kibbutzim have changed so much in the last decades that my plans had to change. Nowadays, most of them are privatized by companies and don't need any more foreign workforce since their business is more centered around sectors such as industry and high-tech. Every kibbutz is unique. Some are more religious than others are very open, but they have in common their controversiality. In fact, they're located on the prettiest and richest regions of Israel, where it is easy to grow food, find rich sources of water, and that can lead to envy or a feeling of injustice from people living outside of those. Also, housing problems are a huge thing in Israel, considering the size of the country and the growing population. Actually, Most people live in deteriorated, extra small and exorbitant overpriced apartments, while kibbutz members live in big houses surrounded by nature. All the images you've been seeing since the beginning of this chapter were shot in a farm called Goats with the Wind. It is not at all part of a kibbutz, but I had such a surreal time there that I had to mention it. It was really difficult to access the site since it is remote from cities. I found so much humanity there. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Oh, country roads, take me home. Oh, country roads. Thankfully, I was able to join an actual kibbutz for my last days in Israel. I was welcomed by a French woman and her Israeli husband that met in that same kibbutz where he grew up and she volunteered. I was really eager to work there, since the kibbutz still has an activity inside of it. Most people living in kibbutzim now work outside of it and not for it. Vertigo is an eco-art village created by a dance crew of 4 sisters and constructed almost entirely by one single man. Every detail has been thought of. The old chicken coops were rebuilt with ecological materials. The walls are made up of soil or mud, colored with natural paints. The water from showers is reused. The toilets are composting, and so on. One of my missions, as you can see, was to clean the freshly made buildings, trying not to pour water on the ecological walls, obviously. During the year, Vertigo welcomes groups of young dancers for intensive courses. Not only are they dancing all day long, but they're also learning about the construction of the place, ecology, and how to maintain such a system. My second and main job was to help Orit in the canteen, prepping food for about 40 persons every day.
Enjoying my last days in this dream of a place, I didn't want to spend time interviewing members, which is why you're pretty much only seeing food here. But there would be a lot to say about kibbutzim.
Looking for a way to isolate myself even more from the cities, I decided to spend a few days in a caravan in the middle of the desert.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me.
No, I'm just happy that people are interested in my country, which is amazing. Surrounding with so much influence, belligerent, blah, 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 and you look around, it's so free and people are normal, not like the world trying to describe.
I love you.
Israel have it's east and west in the same place. You know, it's in the Middle East, in the middle of surrounding with Arab countries, but the culture and everything else is Western inspired by. So you get in the middle of the desert like oasis. Everybody want to go to rabbis? Say, what the hell for? Why? What did he do? We do wrong. We didn't do it. We don't. You know, the army, Israeli army called IDF, stand for Israeli Defense Army, not offense. It's we're trying to defend and live at peace. So here's a little bit of politics.
I love you, and in other words, I love you.
In Israel, they used to say all the time, "Yeh beseder, yeh beseder." That will be okay. Somebody is sick, yeh beseder. If somebody is like don't doing their work right, yeh beseder. If you didn't brought something to the party, and yeh beseder. Somehow it will like settle.
أهلا
أهلاً
وسهلا.
وسهلاً.
You are welcome. أهلا. You come to your family, like you come to your family. أهلا.
Nice.
Yes.
In Hebrew, one of the greatest words of the Israeli people, or the Hebrew people, SABABA, which can be interpreted in several ways, like, you want to go somewhere? Sure, SABABA. Or as saying something is nice. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. Sure, my situation is SABABA.
They use SABABA, you ever heard that?
Yeah.
You're cool.
Yeah.
It could be worse. It could be much, much worse.
So SABABA.
Yeah.
צ'ינט שאני מפתח תקווה מגיל 15 אני נמצא פה בסביבה יש בי ים של וייבס להפגין אהבה תמיד הכל סבבה יש לי את הסגנון העדכני הרענן כמצב רוח טוב ועל הכיפק עסקינן אף על החיים אחוי הקשת בענן אז היום יהיה סבבה אנחנו אנשים טובים אצלנו מה שבאבא של ביי ביי אנחנו חברים קרובים תמיד הכל סבבה כל החבר'ה שלי שרים סבבה 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 עושה את שלי לא מתעסק באחרים שמדביקים על כולם תוויות ומחירים
That's it. After so exploring this country for an entire month, it is time for me to head home. With little pearls on the corner of my eyes, I say goodbye to the incredible souls I've met on the way.
אנחנו אנשים טובים
אצלנו מה שבאבא סתם דיגידי דנג דנג אנחנו חברים קרובים תמיד הכל סבבה כל החבר'ה נשארים סבבה 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 סבבה
Israel, vibrant colors of fabric and woven rugs, smell of leather, olives, sumac, and za'atar, tastes of trina and labneh, but also smiles and negotiation, even more questions and infinite memories.
I can only speak one sentence in French. Je ne parle de français.
Je ne parle pas français.
Je ne parle pas français.
So this is the video?
Yeah.
Oh. Are we on?
We're on.
Okay, go ahead.
וגם איתכם. וגם איתכם.